making my way over here. This is it. Good to see you.
And then the mics are up there. Are they already on?
Yes, we'll hand those.
Oh, ain't nothing. Right about your
I might only get the bottom, right?
No, it's on the side.
Is there on the side?
Mm-hmm. Switch.
Is there a particular one? I love it. And she's first. I heard you guys talking.
Okay. Welcome to Unity Southeast and Activate Your Power Now this evening. We're going to start this evening off just a little bit different. We are talking all about love this evening and the power of love and how it radiates in and through our lives. And because we are talking about love, and just because we want to honor where we're at and what's going on in our world right now, I was contacted by a Unity Church over there in Louisville regarding their mass shooting. And at 7 o'clock tonight, they are holding a minute of silence in our prayer vigil, and they are ringing bells. So here in about 30 seconds, we are going to hold that space with them and just knowing that God is in and through and all things and is an activating power of good beyond all outer appearances. Beyond anything that is happening, God, Spirit, love is at work. Love is like the vibration of the bowl. It is that vibration that connects us beyond time and space. It is that seed that just, you may plant it, but it's that continual flow in all that simply is, beyond anything that we can see, beyond anything that we can understand. Love is that state of being that surpasses understanding. And deep love is compassion, rooted in good works, rooted in works of love. So I'm very excited to open our evening by introducing one of our own here at Unity Southeast. She works tirelessly in the name and the action of that which is love, by serving our houseless community, by housing our food pantry, and then just being a support and a greeter to anyone that walks in the door, just being the face of love. Being the face of love beyond, I don't have to know you, I'm going to hug you. Being that first smile that someone sees. So Ruth Wilson, will you join me on up here?
Thank you so much, and thanks to Lizzie for reaching out to me and asking me if I would share the power of love. And there's an experience that I went through here and when I moved to Kansas, and I just really feel like that this is something I need to share with this group and anyone that's listening, because it's the power of love and activating the power of love in the workplace. And in July of 2006, I moved to Overland Park, Kansas from San Diego, California for my job. And when I got here, I was excited, but at the same time I was nervous. I was born and raised in San Diego. I'd never been to the Midwest, but I just felt that this is where I belong. So I was very excited to go into my workplace. Our company had purchased a lab in Lenexa, Kansas, and needed someone to come out and train the employees on our systems. And they came to me and approached me and asked me if I would come out, and I said, sure, you know what? I'd love to go to Kansas. I'd love to go to Smallville. I want to see what it's like in Smallville. So I came out for 2 weeks and realized that this is where I belong, and they gave me an invite to move me out here. Well, coming into that workplace, I went through the honeymoon period. So there was about 5 or 6 months where everybody loved me. They were so happy to see me. I'm there to help. You know, I'm there to support them. And it was just absolutely amazing. This management team that I came into, I just thought, these people are amazing. They're wonderful. They love me. Everything is so good. But then after about 5 or 6 months, 2007 rolls around, and for some reason, the dynamics changed. And I went through a period of time where I wasn't as valuable to them anymore. They had figured things out, and then they had gotten to the place where they felt like, you don't need to tell me anything anymore. I've got everything I need, and actually I think I can do it better than you. So then I started to the dynamics changed even further, and this group on the management team, I felt like I had been iced out. I was isolated. They stopped talking to me. I wasn't as valuable anymore. It just seemed like they questioned everything that I did. It was very painful for me, and it was shocking, and I thought, this was not what I anticipated. Now I have to figure this out. And in the beginning, I was hurt and upset, and I thought, I got all dramatic about it. Maybe I should just go home then. There was this part of me that just said, if I had no friends, I knew no one here, I knew no one in Kansas, and I just thought, I don't know how to deal with this. And I did not deal with it very well in the beginning, and the situation got worse. So I picked up a book when I was at Unity in Overland Park, and it was centered around the amazing power of prayer. And I began to read the book, and one of the principles in the book was really around love and reconciliation and asking for the things that you need and affirming the things that you need. So I began to ponder, and I thought, there was a couple of people on that team that were especially aggressive towards me. They were very confrontational. And I'm a very sensitive person, so I really, really struggled with that. And I began to lean into the principle of love and the power of love. And I realized, what is it that I really want in this workplace? What do I want when I walk through those doors? I want harmony. I want balance. I want peace. I want to feel that I'm a part of this group. I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel seen. I didn't think that was too much to ask for. So I began to visualize that. And the two people that were on my team that were the most confrontational, I thought to myself, this is where you activate the power of love. This is where you're going to activate that power. And I began with a chant that I learned from a book called A Path with Love by Jack Cornfield. And I'd close my eyes and I would visualize these two coworkers, and I would say in my heart, May you be filled with loving kindness, and may you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease, and may you be happy. These are all the things I wanted for myself, but I said, all the things you want for yourself, now you reach out in love and you ask for these things for those that are the most confrontational, the most aggressive towards you. Those are the things that you need to lean into. So I began every day before I go to work, even in my car, with that prayer. And then I began to visualize, what more do I want for myself? I want to be prosperous. I want to be recognized. I want to be appreciated. I would like to be respected. So I asked for these things on behalf of those that were even the most confrontational. And there were days when it was pretty bad with them. And then when I was reading in the book, it was pretty clear to me that if I were to lean into the power of love, asking for the things that I want for myself, asking for those things on their behalf, and visualizing what I want and affirming it, that's what I really began to visualize. No matter what was happening at work, I just continued in that direction. And as I was reading in the book around the power of prayer, there will be a shift and there will be action. There will be movement at some point. You will not stay in this position. Either, perhaps some of those on that team may move on. You may find another opportunity and you may move on. But while you're here, focus and lean in to the power of love. And I began to see them differently. One of them that was really confrontational, her birthday came up, so I thought, really focus on her and listen to when she speaks and what she loves and what she's into and what makes her heart happy. So then you go and you buy her a gift for her birthday, for the things that you know that she really loves. And I really listened and I paid attention and I began to see her differently. And we would sit in meetings and I would just look at her and I'd just be, gosh, I just love you so much. I just love you so much. Just want you to be well and happy and balanced and good. And so I bought this beautiful Asian vase and I bought a few other things and handpicked a card, and when her birthday came, my little heart was just beating and beating and beating, and I thought, don't know how she's gonna receive this, but I know when I'm called, when Spirit calls me to do this, I do it. So I nervously went into her cubicle and she looks up at me like, what are you doing in here? And I set the vase down and the card, and I almost wasn't sure if I should even reach over for a hug, but I said, be bold. So I said, happy birthday, Linda. I hope your day's wonderful. And I kind of backed away and walked over to my desk and kind of looked at her in the corner of my eye, and her mouth was just, as I walked away, and I just said, there's love all over that gift, love. I'm blessed because of my intentions were good. My intentions were good and right and pure. So fast forward a couple of years. Okay, I moved here in July of 06. Fast forward a couple of years, July of 09. By the way, one of the confrontational employees did end up leaving a month later after I really started focusing on forgiveness and love and what I wanted in the workplace. And so fast forward 2 years, I experienced some personal tragedy in the workplace. And it was heavy. And I won't go into details because I don't have enough time, but it was a real tragedy. And I did not see it coming. I was blindsided. So again, I'm all alone. The management team has moved on. They're doing all their things together as a group. They go out to lunch together and to the Royals games. And here I am out here all by myself. And I just said, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just going to love this group. Whether they love me back, I'm going to love them. So the manager, the director of sales, called us all into a little conference room. And with my permission, he shared with the team what I had experienced. Suddenly I'm sitting there and we're in this whole circle and I've got my arms crossed and I'm all alone and they're all together, their little group, and I'm just all alone. And he starts to share what I'm experiencing, the tragedy that I experienced at work, and all of a sudden I can hear, no. And it was almost too much for me because I was really living it myself. And I looked around the group. I finally made eye contact with all of them and looked around, and they looked at me and I looked at them. And I just broke down and cried. I just put my hands over my face and I just started to cry. And suddenly I could hear movement. They were all getting up out of their chairs and they were all coming around me and they were hugging me, holding my hand, and had a hand on the leg and they're hugging me, and it was a powerful moment. And they said, "What can we do? How can we help you?" And I knew that was my moment. And I said, "Do you know what you can do? Just let me be a part of this group. I don't understand what happened, but over the last couple of years, all I've wanted is just to be a part of this group." And then you could see others started crying and they got very emotional. And it was a powerful moment. And the next day, when I came into the office, I walked into my cubicle and there were flowers and cards all over my desk. I was so moved, and it was just so personal and so beautiful, all the cards and the words of comfort and support for me and love for me from this team. And then I'm sitting there at my desk and I hear this movement behind me. I turn around and there she is. There's Linda, the most confrontational of the whole group, standing behind me with tears in her eyes, and she says to me, "Ruth, I'm so sorry. I treated you so badly over the last couple of years. Please forgive me." That's all. I mean, I didn't even expect that. I jumped up off my chair and I turned around and I hugged her and I said, "Of course. All I wanted is just to be your friend. We don't ever need to speak on this ever again, ever again." We cried and we hugged. And the power of love opened up a whole new world for both of us. And I cannot tell you, after that, so it was 2 years later, July of '07, when this all came down. And she and I grew so close to each other. And we opened up our hearts. We became vulnerable to one another. The power of love just opened up this world for us. And we became so close. And it was such a powerful moment for me. And I think that it really taught me so much because you spend so much time with these people that you work with. You probably spend more time with them sometimes than you do your own family. So when there is, what happened for me was being able to visualize, being able to say with an affirmative prayer, "I just want reconciliation. I want forgiveness and reconciliation. That's what I want, and I want to be appreciated." And it may not happen in one day, it may not happen in 6 months. It took 2 years and a tragedy in the workplace for me. 2 years, but I never gave up affirming and visualizing, and I never gave up loving my team through all of this. I'm just gonna love them through it. I'm just gonna love myself through this. So I just felt that maybe someone can take that with them if they're suffering in the workplace, and understanding that, be patient and lean into the power of love and activate that love, activate that power with your actions and with your deeds, and say those affirmative prayers. And it's amazing how things can change even if it takes 2 years for it to happen. Thank you all so much for letting me share with you.
I love that story. share, Ruth. I love how it is a very good example that love does not have to be passive. Love can be very active. Love can be on the move. It can be bold. And it takes time. So they do say love is patient, love is kind, but there's a lot to it when you can be bold and step into it, even when you're not getting what you feel like you need back, because you stayed the course. I think of, in unity, love is depicted by the disciple John. And John is all about love. He's showing up. He was the youngest of the disciples. And he was with his brother Andrew when Jesus came upon them and said, "Peace be upon you." And he invited them into the fold, right? And he called them the sons of thunder. And I think of the sons of thunder, I think of that as being very bold and very gregarious, because these two guys, they were young men. What do young men like to do? They like to be bold and gregarious and play and move, right? And so as being those sons of thunder, they were being loved. But if we remember, his brother James from last month is representative of wisdom. And so what I heard you very much sharing your story was that blending of wisdom and love, because love is often the most misunderstood power of all. Because we think about it being, and I love you, we think about it being that intimate soul connection. And it's so much more than that. It's deeper than that. It's below the surface, as well as there's that divine love that just shows up as spirit, synonymous with the word love. And so you need that balance of what is head and heart. And thank you for that share. Next up, we have what's love got to do with it? We are going to be looking at how do we get plugged in and really think about love and how it measures through. You know, when you're planning like events like tonight, when you're talking about your speakers, or when you're planning a Sunday service, you're looking at the flow, right? So Brian Ashford is going to take us into that flow. Let's come on up.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you and a blessing. So a little bit about me. My name is Brian Ashworth. Thank you for that introduction. I am founder of Stillwater Resource Group, which basically is really just focused. My passion is people. And if I can help people become passionate about their passions, then I've done my job. And so it's really about how do we tap into the internal resources within us and the groups of resources within ourselves, and not rely on other people, right? And so that's really what Stairwell is about. Tonight I have the opportunity and the privilege to talk to you about love, and what's love got to do with it? I know what all of you are thinking right now. You got a song in your head?
Yep.
I knew it. I promise you, at a bare minimum, tonight I will leave you with an earworm. So I'm going to play a game with you. I'm going to test your musical knowledge. And I might date some of you. I'm an 80s kid. Grew up in the 80s. Love the 80s, the 90s. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put song titles from the 80s and 90s up on the screen. And I'm going to let you guess the artist or the group that sang this title. Are you ready?
Tina Turner.
What is love?
Oh, what is love, baby? You don't hurt me.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Hadaway.
Okay.
I would sing it for you, but I promise you don't need to do that. The next one, you ready? Is this love?
Is this love?
Who is it?
Peter Gabriel?
No.
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 I can sing it, but White Snake.
Yes.
White snake.
White Snake.
Big hair.
Okay.
Yes.
Big hair.
That, the 80s is known for that. Ready? The next one? Oops. I want to know what love is. I felt too cheap. Clicker. This one's gonna be tough. If somebody gets this, I'm impressed. Love is.
Can you sing it?
No.
Come on, guys. Hum it.
Huh?
Hum it.
You gotta give us a
Is it
line.
Linda Ronstadt? Is it the Love is a Rose?
Nope.
Bette Midler.
I'm just gonna give it to you because I didn't expect anybody to get this one. Atlanta Miles. I'm gonna introduce you to her in a minute.
She's on the black velvet.
Yes, Black Velvet. Where is the love? Come on, Chuck.
Oh, I can hear it.
Where is
Oh, it was mine on mine till the end of time. Woman. Not many.
Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, that's all right.
Come on, come on. Okay, now, here's the last one. If you don't get this one, we cannot be friends.
Tina Turner, LL Cool J. Tina Turner.
Tina Turner.
Tina Turner. Thank you. Thank you. So here's the earworm I'm going to leave with you. I promise to leave with you tonight. I sometimes can amaze myself, and I was able to pull clips of these videos and mesh them together. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I want you to listen to kind of the building on the love. There's a message there, but more importantly, I want you to listen to how love is being defined. Okay?
What you want to be? Show me what you want to do. Folks operate, and it's not love to set it straight. Take the control of your mind and meditate. Make your soul gravitate to the love, y'all. Love. Practice what you preach, what you tell me, what I achieve. Father, 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 purpose, guidance from above. People got me questioning. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? What's love got to do? It's got to do that. What's love versus anymore? What's love got to do? It's got to do that. Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken?
Okay. What did you hear? What is love? How is it defined?
Non-attainable.
Not attainable.
No one can define it. It's
Survivable.
unique to each person. It's unique to each, and everyone's looking for it instead of being
Yeah.
it themselves. It's like, show me it, but no one really
Yep.
wants to be it.
Everyone's trying to figure it out.
That's good, Sasha.
It felt like all those songs had like, pain attached to the word.
Pain.
It was them singing
External.
love, but it felt painful.
Painful.
Yeah. It's a great observations, by the way. Any more?
Pornographic.
Erotic.
Sexual, yeah.
Yeah, it's sexual.
Yeah.
Only sex.
I mean, it's true, right?
It's all of
That's often how we interpret. What's that?
It all sounded like it was questioning.
Yeah.
Questioning.
Those all sound like
Everything
questions.
was questioning.
Interesting.
Questioning what love is, what love is, how does it work?
Interesting.
Passive, where's that passive?
I want to share with you what I heard. Can I do that?
Yes.
What is love? This is what I heard. Is this love? We're going to play with these titles. Is it my baby not hurting me anymore? Is it love if you're just not going to hurt my feelings or cause me pain? Is that love? Is it a feeling? Is Tina correct? Is it just a second-hand emotion? Is it whatever you want it to be? Is it heaven to the lonely? Is it codependent? It's a lot of the message. This is what I heard, right? It's, I need you to be a part of my life. I can't live without you, right? And that's love. Is it? Is it, tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. Whatever I got to do to make you happy, just tell me and I'll do it. I'll do whatever I have to do. Is that love? Is it conditional? Is it that when things are going my way, I love you?
Yeah.
But the minute that they're not,
Get out.
kick rocks. Right? What's been your experience?
See. All of the.
So what is love?
And more.
Because this is what our culture and society, this is the message.
This is true.
This is what so it's modeled to us. It's what we see. And then it just affirms the message. So if this isn't love, then what is?
Love is eternal.
Can I share you what I believe love to be?
Sure.
I believe love is patient. It's kind. Regardless of circumstances. I believe that it's truthful. And it rejoices in that truth. And it's not afraid to share truth. I believe that it endures and it never ends. I believe that it believes and that it hopes, that it transcends political affiliations, race, color, creed, that it unites and it believes the best. I believe that it is humble and it is considerate, that it considers others before yourself, not in a codependent way, but in a true, genuine, authentic, considerate way, a selfless and sacrificial way. I believe that's what love is. Would you agree? It's forgiving and compassionate. We've heard a story already tonight about that very thing. Which love has been your experience? I know what mine has been. And I began a journey of discovery 20 years ago through a very traumatic experience of my life. It really threw me into a crisis of faith. It really challenged what I believed. I didn't know what love was, let alone myself. But here's a principle I want to leave with you tonight that hopefully can allow us and help us and equip us to tap into, empower, awaken, and activate love. How many of you heard the golden rule? What is it?
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Treat others the way you want to be treated. It's often said, do unto others, you would have them do unto you. But my question to you is, what if it's been done unto you is the unhealthy stuff that we call love that's not love? What happens then?
Get counseling.
We've already messed up the formula, right? In other words, we could say it this way: love your neighbors as you love yourself. That begs another question. How are you loving you? So do you see the problem here? It's almost as if in this culture we're set up for failure. Because our experience of love shapes our expectation of love. And if we expect the love that's been modeled to us, what are we going to seek and attract?
The same person in a different body with a different name.
Yes.
Again and again and again.
And then our expectation of love, I believe, reflects our evaluation of ourselves. Because if that's all I expect, then that's all I deserve. See the problem? So how are you treating you? If we are to love others as we love ourselves, it really begins where? How are you loving you? How are you loving you? So where is the love? Where is this love that seems to be ethereal and romance novels and all these things that we read? Where is this love that Fergie talks about? I believe God is love. I want to give you a thought here if we go back to creation story to pull out a principle. Okay? God is love. God created. Love created. In the beginning, when God created animals, God spoke to the earth. Let the earth bring forth. Let the earth. Remember that? When God created the fish, he spoke to the sea. Let the waters, let the sea. Don't trust me, go back and look and read it for yourself. But when God created humanity, when love created humanity, God spoke to self and said, let us make humanity in our image. We are created in the image of love and with a connection to love. So here's the question and the principle I want to offer you tonight. What happens when you disconnect or remove an animal from the earth? Or you take a fish out of water for a long period of time? It dies. What happens when you disconnect us from our source? If we are created by love in the image of love for connection to love, and we love because love first loved us, and that we were meant to be channels and conduits of love, but then we are disconnected from the source, what happens? How do we activate love? And my fear and concern is that many of us, because of our experiences, because of trauma, because of things, that we have just settled and taken on this idea that this is as good as it's ever going to get. I don't deserve any better. And we just exist. And it would be no different than if I unplugged that light from that computer, what would happen? It would go out. And many of us are living lives with our lights out. So what does love have to do with it? It has everything to do with it. We need to get plugged in to our source, get connected, and awaken the love within us so that we then can love. and transcend this message and this culture that we hear about in this music. Agree? Thank you. My name is Brian. Here's my QR code. If you want to stay connected with me, feel free to scan that. I'd love to connect with you one-on-one.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, you gave us some really good reminders of knowing what it is when we can truly be human, and then when we know when we're living from that divine space, that space of love that is source. And I like how you talked about being plugged in, because it kind of reminds me of electricity, right? Because we are that conduit, that space, that source that is love. Well, electricity flows, right? It just kind of, I don't know where it comes from, but it just happens in science, right?
Right.
But when you flip a light switch, it comes on, right? When you flip it off, it goes off. The electricity doesn't ever go anywhere, right? It's still connected, on or off. And that's, I think, the story that you just illuminated for us, so thank you. Love is love, and love simply exists. And I like how you talked about it being the conduit, that flow that flows in being. Because like I was just saying when it was wisdom and love, wisdom is, that solar plexus, it is that space down here that just, oh, I just know. And then we're balancing that space of that head and that knowing with our heart space. And our heart space, we identify it as being right in here. Well, it's really back there behind the rib cage, right there back by the spine. And so it's all connecting. It is what's holding up this body, right? This body and this experience. So we have these very, very human emotions. And we go through these very human experiences. I mean, most of us have been through the gamut. We've all have loved and we've lost. We've all had experiences of anger and pain, and we have all had experiences of joy that can't even be described. I mean, I can talk about seeing my infant for the very first time and just being speechless. Love. I could talk about going through really poor relationships, having to relocate 3 hours away for my own safety and for my children. And that is love too, because when he was talking about that self-love. How do we care for ourselves in a very human way? By connecting to source and living in that divine way, that attraction and that desire of God, of spirit, of source, and love. And I whatever name you want to call it, it simply is. So our next speaker is going to take us on that leap of love. It's that intentional love. How do we take all these things, all these life experiences, and be accountable with who we are and how we want to show up and how we want to be seen in the world? So Sasha Sani, are you ready?
So I have notes. There are other people that didn't have notes, and I admire that, but I need notes. So what came first, love or self-love? What came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So just like Elisa said, and also Brian, love came first. So I want everyone to close their eyes really quick, because I am someone who likes to interact with the audience. And when you close your eyes, I just want you to take in a deep breath, hold it at the top, and let it out slowly through your mouth. And take one more deep breath. Feel the love and the energy in the room, the love you have for yourself, for one another, and let it all out. We're going to do one more. Inhale through the nose. Hold it at the top. Let that love for yourself build up. And let it all out.
So a little self-disclosure for myself. We're gonna go ahead and open our eyes. Just kind of like relax. I think this is also for me too, just kind of talking from source. I'm anxious. So a little self-disclosure on self-love, on not even knowing what self-love was about 5 years ago. It started it started since I was a kid. Not knowing what love was. You know, you do something good and you're told to come here. You do something bad, you're told to go away. So any people pleasers? Anybody? Yeah, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And I've stopped and it has pissed people off.
Right.
And that's what happens when you start loving yourself. So I'm going to talk to you about self-love. Because for self-love to develop, you have to look internally. You have to connect with yourself. You have to find out what is it that moves you inside so that you can give that to others. When I didn't love myself, I was self-critical, negative self-talk. I badmouthed myself almost every day. My weight, how I looked, what friends I had, what friends I didn't have, what I did, what I didn't do. Oh my God, are they going to like me? I didn't trust myself, so how can I trust somebody else? I wasn't true to myself, so how can I be true to you if I'm not true to myself? It ends up being a lie. We constantly lie to ourselves, therefore we're constantly lying to everybody else, wearing these beautiful masks, pretending that everything's okay, smiling, waving, being hoop-de-la, right? Let's all sing Kumbaya Wrong. A campfire, why not? We go looking for love because we're told since we're children, once you find love, what if we were told once we fall in love with ourselves, learn to love yourself first, and then go start loving other people, instead of sacrificing yourselves for others. Now there's a fine line with sacrifice. We sacrifice for kids, we sacrifice for our friends, for our family members. There's definitely always a fine line in our boundaries that we have within ourselves, because once we have somebody cross our boundaries, we have crossed our own boundaries. And it starts with us, leaving us feeling unworthy, unlovable, unvaluable, and for me was suicidal. These past few months, I've been in my own world because I've been going through a lot of mental issues, depression, all of these other things, because I thought I was bringing down masks when I was just putting up another one. So I stand here in front of you, full of self-love, ready to conquer that, and understanding self-love. Self-love isn't a makeover. Self-love isn't getting your hair did, not buying a new wardrobe, or even a new relationship. It's not even reading inspirational quotes, reading the books, coming to things like this and listening to me. That's not self-love. Self-love starts in here. It's whatever you decide to do with it. Everything else is just temporary. Self-love is appreciation of yourself. You go on a dating app and you find people and they say, I'm looking for someone who loves long walks in the park. I'm looking for someone who is adventurous and ambitious and successful and bleh. What about the values? What about your values? What about, I'm looking for someone understanding. I'm looking for someone compassionate. I'm looking for someone loving, patient, kind. But in society, we're told to follow all these things, just like you showed us in those videos. It's all external. We keep figuring or trying to figure out what external things can we go chasing
chasing the carrot when you're the goddamn carrot. So through this and finding self-love, we have to become mindful of how we're showing up in the world. How are you showing up? How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be known as someone who is generous, who always gave to the world, who is a great listener, who always smiled because they were compassionate towards you? How do you support your physical being, your own being, your body? We are not this body. We are a spirit soul. We are source. We are love. And every single one of us is a little love generator running around, just seeing where it can be given. We all want to be loved, understood, and just heard and seen. Psychologically, how are you taking care of yourself? How's your mental health? Are you really taking the time to look at yourself? Look at yourself in the mirror. When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I love you? Your wrinkles, your nose, your eyes. When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror? And if you haven't, do that tonight. And do that every night for the next, who knows how long it takes to build a habit, because everyone is different. But do it and continue doing it. And if you don't love yourself, and if that's hard, pull out one thing that you do love about yourself. I love that I am kind. I love that I do give. And build up on that. Compound interest. Stock market anyway, right? From there, this also applies to your beloveds. Because once you start loving yourself, once you start connecting to yourself, you're able to give that to other people. You can't pour from an empty cup, guys. You can't. So the power of love, I challenge that to the power of self-love. How it helps. It gives the ability to endure struggles for your family members, for yourself. It helps you work towards goals. Helps you work towards relationships, those long-term marriages. They didn't happen overnight. Oh my God. I love sitting with people who have been married for 40, 50 years and asking them, what did you do? What was the secret? And they all give me different answers. So real quick, what does love mean to you? Yell it out. Don't be shy.
Patience.
Patience.
Kindness.
Kindness.
Compassion.
Passion. Cool.
Appreciation.
Appreciation. Cool.
Reconciliation.
Reconciliation.
Being heard.
Being heard.
Receptiveness.
Receptiveness.
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Holding space.
Holding space. Great, yeah. Now they were all different, yet they were all similar, because we're all different, yet we're all one. So what is important to you? Get a piece of paper and write down all the values that you appreciate about yourself and that you want in a partner, and be that. The worst thing you can do is find somebody that loves you more than you love them, or vice versa. Because then that's control. That's attachment. Self-love also helps you try out new activities. You meet that new someone, there's that spark, you're gonna marry them, they like rock climbing, and you've never been rock climbing. Oh, crap. Hey, Sasha, you wanna go canoeing now? I don't even know how to swim. I don't. I wear a life jacket. Science shows that love can also reduce pain. It can also help you breathe. It can also relieve disease. And disease comes from dis-ease. What emotions are you keeping trapped inside of you? Your hip starts hurting? I know my hip hurts all the time. I go to a chiropractor and I'm like, release me. Because I don't know how to release myself. Self-love is also learning to ask for help when you need it. So if you feel comfortable as well, turn to a partner or someone next to you. If you feel comfortable, and give them a hug. Just give them a hug. Beautiful. All the love. All the love. Now all the way back in the corner, give the people too. The ones that didn't want to come up front, show them some love. Mhm. Love creates happiness. That's great. Thank you. Oh, cuddle, puddle, cuddle, puddle. First time for everything, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's the love, it's the love.
That's all it takes is a hug and a smile. And look at that ripple effect. Everyone is smiling, maybe not cheesing, but there's something moving inside of you. And it's okay if you're not cheesing. It's whatever you make it to be.
It's not good because everybody smells it.
I farted.
That's love.
That's self-care right there.
I needed to let it go. I'm practicing my Varnasanas. Yoga, anybody? Love also helps you create. Love also helps you, it's where music comes from, it's where poetry comes from, it's where dance comes from, it's where building a vehicle comes from. The love that you have towards something, that is how our world is built. And love is everything because unfortunately, love can be misconstrued. Love can be painful. Love can be other things that a lot of us don't like. Greed. Some people can be greedy. Some people can be very selfish. Well, because I love myself. But where's that balance, right? Where are you giving back? Where are you giving back? Love also reduces depression and anxiety. So I was having anxiety at the beginning and I kind of paused for a second. I'm like, oh, you got this. You love you, it's okay. It's okay if you mess up because other people's opinions don't matter. What matters is what I believe in myself. Now it's easily said and it's simple, but it's kind of hard to do. It's simple, but it's not easy because we fall into that trap constantly and every day. So every day we wake up and we gotta remind ourselves who we are because you've gotten here this far, so you've survived everything you have survived everything from in between. It's this, that, and everything in between. That's who you are. So, I want to ask you, when did you stop loving yourself? When did you stop doing the things you love? Was it because society told you you have to get the car and the house and the kids and everything else, so you stopped rock climbing? You stopped singing? You stopped dancing? You stopped laughing? You stopped petting dogs? You stopped going to an animal shelter? You stopped all of these things because society told you you had to do X, Y, and Z. So when did you stop loving yourselves? It's all cultural. It's all cultural. So when does that stop? When are you going to break the cycle? Oh my God, it is hard to break the cycle. I have cried on my kitchen floor so many times trying to break the cycle. So many times. And I was ashamed and embarrassed to not put that out into the world because I needed to take care of myself first. Sasha, why haven't you come out this way? Sasha, come out that way. Sasha, what's going on? Da, 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 da. And you know, I love you. Thank you for thinking of me. But I gotta love me first through everything so I can show up here for you. Because then what's the point? Albert Einstein wrote a letter to his daughter. When he passed away, she read it. There's more to this letter. But he talks about love. It says the universal force is love. Love is light that enlightens those who give and receive it. Love is gravity because it makes some people attracted to others. Love is powerful. It's power because it multiplies the best we have and allows humanity not to be extinguished in their blind selfishness. Love unfolds and reveals. For love we live and we die. Love is God and God is love. Whatever you decide God is, you're right. For me, it's source. So, when are you going to start giving love to anybody? A smile. Love is the highest form of energy that Albert Einstein wrote in the letter. Maybe we're not ready to create a love bomb, but it sure will destroy a lot of things that are happening in this world. The hate, the selfishness, and the greed. It's universal, like food. Food is universal. I'm a foodie. Anybody else? Foodies? Yeah. And I have it, I'm proud. Love does conquer all. It is the essence of life, soul, spirit, the ethos, nature, and it is your core. How am I on time, guys? I'm past it? Really? Oh, I was gonna do another meditation. Well, there we go. Cool. Aham Brahma. It's Sanskrit for I am love. Aham Brahma. Aham Brahma. Aham Brahma. Say it with me. Learn it. Say it to yourself tonight. It is I am love, I am affection. Aham Brahma. Aham Brahma. Aham Brahma. Aham Brahma. Aham Brahma. And with that, I'll leave you. Thanks.
I love how you talked, I see I'm using love to describe love. I love how you expressed love as being a generator of source. You know, and I love that you used to quote Albert Einstein because he's like one of my heroes. And I've always looking at how do we mold science into our faith. And Einstein does that because love has no end and it has no beginning. And it is from love which we come from to love which we return. I call like this massive matrix that simply is love, the ether, and that is where we come from and that is where we return. So, and I love how you said we are one, because we are all connected. And I got you covered with that meditation because I love how you ended it, but we're not going to stop there. How many of you know what dances of universal peace are? A few of you maybe? Okay. So we're going to do, it's almost like a walking meditation. So everybody come up to the stage. I'm going to push this out of the way. I am not a singer, but I'm going to leave my mic on so those that are online can hear me. And we're going to do this together. And I do believe that love is all about this vibrational footprint that we leave with one with each other. So we're going to make a big circle. So unfortunately, it is online. You're going to see a little bit of our backs for a moment. Okay. Two. I need one more person. Circle up. So this is going to be our mindful moment. Jane, you want to come up here? Okay. Okay, well, I will show you guys what we're doing. So, who knows what universal dance is? It's like a Sufi dance. Sufism is all about expressing love through dance. And we were talking about love and dance and love and expressing. And you know, we go through pains in our human way, and then there is a spiritual truth. Come on, baby. That love supersedes all. And one of the ways that we can be love is by really being present with it. I heard somebody say that earlier, presence, surrendering. And one of the ways we do that in our human way is we look at each other in the eyes. And some say that eyes are the windows to the soul. And so what we're going to do is we're going to sing a song. We're going to pair up with one person who wants to model with me. Oh,
It doesn't matter. Go ahead, you're ready.
Okay, so I'm going to put you in them. So we're going to model like this. We're going to stand right here. So we're going to sing the song, and it's How Could Anyone? And it goes, how could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. And we're going to go around the circle, and we're going to do that to all of each other. Okay? And we feel this emotion because the emotion is all about expressing as love. This is what we are here. This is what we are born to do. So we're going to pair up. Everybody got two. I'm going to start with Patricia. Okay? Oh. Izzy, you're on your mind. So what we're going to do is when we're going to go around the circle. No. So we'll have one person there. We're going to go all the way around the circle. So I'm going to go. So everybody stand and face each other right now. The person that one person raised their right hand in the group. The person that is raising their right hand is facing this way. So Brian and Sasha Turner. Raise your right hand. So everybody's got their right hand up. Ruth, get on that side. Turn this way. Okay, yeah, that works. Right hand here, right hand. You got that hand down. Okay. So the person that has their right hand up, when you're done with one set, you're going to go this way. The person that's got their hand up, you're going to step in the inside. The other person's going to go to the outside to go to the next person. Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll move around the circle. And then we're gonna sing this in multiple rounds. I mean, we're gonna sing it like 8 or 9 times. And really just what I invite you to do, first you're gonna just be hearing it, you're just gonna try and catch it. But really take a moment, take time, find each other, look at each other, and be in it. Be in it. And then allow the emotions. If it feels right, cry. If it feels right, experience the emotion. You guys coming up? Come on.
I guess so.
What are we doing?
Okay.
We're gonna cry.
I believe love heals. And I think that when we can connect at a soul level, we're healing. And we're healing that, we're doing that practice of self-love, and we are practicing as one. Ready?
Who's singing?
We are all going to sing it.
We're all doing it together.
Yes, but you might have to just hear it a couple times.
You're the only one singing.
Oh, yeah, maybe still.
Okay, so I will. All right.
So we're simultaneously singing.
I'm going to say everybody's singing at the same time when you're looking. So as you hear it, just start picking up as you hear it. So how could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful. How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
We're gonna practice again.
Could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
We're gonna get
How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Let's all just take hands for a minute.
Back to center.
How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to our soul. So that'll be our mindful moment for this evening. We'll take about a 5-minute break and then we'll continue on with our speakers.
And then,
Ronnie?
Okay, we're all coming back.
Sort of similar hair.
We are on a journey of love this evening. And sometimes, you know,
Similar.
love has many facets, right? We have this very human, animistic journey, and then we have that soul level that is absolutely divine, absolutely the truth. And thank you, everybody that was here in the room, and those that are online. We know that you are here with us in spirit. But thank you for really participating, because when we can be totally present, when we can show up as love with one another, we are truly living an inherent truth, because we are here to activate your power now. We are here by a divine appointment. And in that divine appointment, it is our job to shine our light and to be activated in this power of love, in the absolute truth of what is and in the nature of that which is love. Love is a journey, and sometimes it takes some fierceness. I know Ruth opened us up in the boldness and some actions of love. I know my daughter called me and she just said, "And I love you, Mama." And she was in tears this morning. She's 26 and she works in a school, and she works with special needs kiddos, and she found out that another teacher had done something that wasn't very kind to a child. And it just hurt her heart. And she said, she's sharing this whole experience with me. She said, "I don't know." She said, "I don't even want anything to do with this person." And I said, "Well, you know what? You were an action of love. You were an action of love." Because when we can show up in that space, even in those fierce, hard moments, we are living out an innate truth and a presence that gather us all together. Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to show up and greet each other as brother, as sister, as we are one. There is no difference in who we are. I know years ago, and it's been years. I mean, it seems like forever since the pandemic first started, and when we really dived deep into Black Lives Matter, and I'm having these experiences with my children, because my children are biracial, and we live in white suburbia. They have me as a mom, and it's really hard, to navigate the world when this is what they have, right? This is what they see. This is their experiences, and I'm telling them they can have, be, and do anything, and I truly believe that. But then there's this outside world that's throwing these darts. And then in those darts, there's those nuggets of love that just show up in experience and expression. I know this little girl, she made me this bracelet, and I wear this. I've worn this faithfully since the beginning of 2020. And it says, "Black Lives Matter." I don't care if it matches what I have on. And she told me this one was for me. She made one for Imani and I. And it has a little heart on it, and she said, "You get the heart because you're the mama." That's love. Love showing up and being an expression, no matter what the outer appearances are, and trusting that the good it's unfolding. We don't have to know what it looks like. We just have to be present. Okay. So that brings us to our next speaker, a man who many of us have witnessed being a spiritual leader himself. Being present to those when they need the message, and not even knowing what exactly is flowing from what's within, but listening to Source as it's making its way. So he is framing a journey of that of a warrior, and he goes through life and he looks at it, those episodes, and as you move through those episodes, you trust in the process. So Gary Newsom, Coach G, come on up.
You gotta turn it on. Just flip it up.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Gary Newsom, Coach G.
I'm excited to be here. I'm blessed. I'm honored to be here. All of you out there, I invite you in. This is a journey for me. So 2023 really is the ending of some really bad things, but the start of some really powerful things. So I just kind of want to go back to the beginning. And I know we're talking about love, but I want to talk about the reconciliation of love, and trusting the process. So I would say the originator, the creator of love, for me, everybody can believe their way. I have no judgment from me, but my belief is the God of the Bible. Love originates with him. So when I think of that, I think about Gary Newsom, Coach G, wrapped in this ball of love that God created. And then he introduced me into the world through my parents, Willie and Pearl Newsom. And there I became the love of their eyes. But love became tainted. So that's what I want to talk about, the reconciliation of love, where love sometimes goes wrong and gets broken and gets distorted. So I just want to read this to you real quick. Our brains were wired for connection and love, but trauma rewires them for protection. You wonder why? That's why healthy relationships are difficult for wounded people. Think about that for a second. Our brains are wired for connection and love. That's God ordained. God created us to love. We're hardwired to love. Every sense, every emotion, every thought, every muscle, all the way down to a cellular level is designed to love or connect. But trauma, pain, hurt, whatever you want to call it, happens. Then we're changed. That's why healthy relationships or situations or thoughts, whatever words you want to place there, are difficult for wounded people. So I want to talk about that. So 2023 for me is the journey of a warrior by any means necessary. And I say that boldly with power and great expectation because I live my life boldly now. I live my life intentionally now. I live my life with love. I understand what the meaning of that is. But before I get into that, as she said, this episode tonight is talking about love. Love in the form of reconciliation and trusting the process. So to explain, I got to tell you some stories, or really one story. And I want to tell you about my father. For those that you know me, any of you that would know me, know when I talk about love and father or my father, those two words don't go together. I know some of you are saying, oh, we're supposed to be talking about love tonight. But just follow me and trust the journey, trust the process. So here I am, a man who grew up in a home, a Christian-based home, where my father was an elder of the elders, my mother a missionary of the missionaries, well-respected and honored all around Kansas City. But we lived, I felt like a fake life. We were like the Huxtables, that you saw on TV. Because life at home wasn't the life that we were at church. And wasn't that it was absent of love, but my father in the relationship that I had, at that time, I thought was absent of love. I didn't see it. I didn't feel it. My greatest hurts, my greatest pains of my entire life came at the hands of my father. Yeah, this mighty man of God, I would go to church every Wednesday, every Friday, every Sunday morning, Sunday night, and my friends would boast about how great my dad was. Man, your dad is this, and your dad is that, and your dad is all these different things. And I would just look at them like, well, you can have him. You can have him. That was my example of love that had gone wrong. And really my thought of how love had gone wrong. But as I tell you the story, you'll see how I had misinterpreted love. I had misunderstood love. So fast forward, my dad is now in his last years. He gets sick. He has diabetes. He goes blind. Series of things happening. He has kidney failure. He has 2 transplants. So he invites me to his home to help take care of him. He's in need of my aid and services. My sister had been there. My brother was there. And I'm like, why do you need me? Why would I come? Thinking about love, the experience that I had with you, love did not define that experience. So I'm just like, why would I do that? But I ended up doing it out of love. So because of that love, I gained a new perspective. One of the things that I said to myself before I went, I had a short prayer that was confirmed a couple other times by a couple other people. And I just said, Lord, you have to change my heart. And when I talked about my heart, I talked about my love walk. So in order for me to do this, in order for this situation to be successful, I had to change how I loved my father. And my father had to change how he loved his son. And then I had to put trust in a loving father, the ultimate love, and trust that he would work it all out. And that's exactly what he did. I spent the next 2 years falling in love with my father. Every single day. It got to a point where he got really sick. He spent 63 days straight, research hospital. Did you hear what I said? 63 days straight. No break. 63 days straight. And who was at his bedside? His son, me. 63 days. My father in that 63 days showed me the reconciliation of love. He was literally the arm of God of love. For 63 days, he would heavily medicated and out most of the time, but he would become lucid and come back and say, son, come on my bedside. And I'd come and sit next to him, and he'd whisper things in my ear, or I'd pray with him, or we'd have conversations. Those conversations were this: you remember when I did this to you? You remember when I said that to you? You remember when you thought you were crazy for believing that or this? And I don't want to go specific into those situations, but he knew exactly what needed to be said in a spirit of love to reaffirm the son that he had broken. And in that moment, I realized in that 63 days that it was love the whole time. When I thought about what my father had gone through and the love that he desired of his father, who was my beloved pawpaw, the love that my pawpaw gave to me, my father had to watch years and years of that. And he was jealous of that. He desired that. He loved and respected and honored his father. And all he wanted was the love of his father that his father gave to his son, me. So it was almost like he hated me. And he hated me I could understand that now. So the feelings that he had, he wanted to make sure I didn't experience those feelings. But broken people, hurting people, hurt people. His intentions of love were just done the wrong way. His intentions, though, his motives, were solely based out of the power of love. He just expressed it the wrong way. He was hard on me. He was unfair with me. He was like a tyrant with me. I could never say anything right. I could never do anything right. He never told me he loved me. He never told me he was proud of me. But in those 63 days, he took a broken young man and sat him at his feet at his bedside and rebuilt him day after day after day after day after day for 63 days. I believe my father had the foresight to know that the last 3 years that I just experienced, because that was the start of my experience, losing him. So I'd spent my entire life hating this man and realizing in those 63 days, all this man did was love me. Just tried to show me love, and he just didn't know how because he was a broken vessel. How many of us can relate to that? Some of you are me in the store that just are looking for the love of the father, love of the mother, love of the friend, love of the wife or the husband, whatever your situation is. And then some of you are on the other end of that. You're trying to give the love. Maybe you're the parent trying to give the love to your children, and they're rebelling against you, and you don't understand why they're rebelling against you, because your motives are based out of love. But everything that you say and do to them is the opposite. That was my situation. That was going on back and forth between me and my father. But those 63 days, he rebuilt the broken man into the man that I am here today, standing here before you. And I believe, as I said, I believe he had the foresight to know that I was going to experience the last 3 years that I experienced. So I just pondered literally last night, as I thought about what I was going to say today, where would I have been without the love of my Father? How would I have managed the last 3 years of my life without the experience built into me by the love of my Father? Everybody's like Gary always talks about he loves his mama. She's my heart, my first love. And I hardly ever talk about Dad. But I stand here today strong and mighty, a warrior of God, a Newsome, because of my Father. Not just because of my Father, but because of my Father's love. So I implore you guys today, consider love. It comes in many shapes and forms. Look at the heart. Look at the motive. See, if I'd have taken a step back and gotten to really know my Father and understand his pain, because that's what ended up happening. I took the time to listen to him, the hurting man who was hurting the man. And once I understood his pain, I could forgive him for his pain. I could understand and give grace and mercy for his pain. I could give love for his pain. Agape love. Unconditional love. We don't ever talk about that type of love. At least not in this country. I had a visit to Brazil a few years back, and that country's full of love. The exercise that Pastor had us do, they do that every day. Everywhere they're going, people are hugging each other, loving on each other. It's a very dangerous and violent country, but it's full of love. Isn't that crazy thought? Guys walking around machine guns, drug cartels running all over the place, but that country's full of love. Agape love. So if I leave you with anything today, I want you to go on the journey with me of love. Pause for a moment in the microwave society that we live in and consider love in all its shapes, all its forms, all its fashions. It may not always come the way you want it to come, or even sometimes the way you need it to come, because it's coming from a broken vessel that's just like you. And if you really take the time to consider and connect to the person who's giving that love, and consider what their needs are, and maybe even simply have a conversation. I don't know how many sit-downs Dad and I had, and things that I thought or perceived that were wrong in that conversation that I learned. That's what I mean about love, the reconciliation of love. And I guess I got to end it with this, because there is no greater love in my viewpoint than what we just passed, Easter. That some say, yeah, that was painful, that was traumatic, that was devastating, what Jesus had to go through. So that was all based out of love. That the Father loved us so much that he sent his only begotten Son. And Brian, if you were the only one in this earth, he still would have come. Izzy, if you were the only one, he would have still came. Tokyo, he would have come. Any one of you, he would have come. But I realized he came for me. I made it personal. So in 2023, I'm going to explore love to its fullest. That word I talked about, agape. Unconditional, free, just love. What do you have to lose? I'm asking. Really, literally, have you really considered that? What do you have to lose by loving? But you have everything to gain. My challenge to you today is love. Love. Love.
That would be one of those ones where you're like hitting it out of the ballpark. Yes, love. Love is that agape love. I think I have to throw a shameless plug in here. You know, I am one of the ministers here at Unity Southeast. So if you want those hugs like you're getting in Brazil, here's the place to be.
That's right.
Because I think that when we truly can look at one another and you say, you are the face of God. I see you. I behold you. That we're connected at that soul level. Miracles unfold. I think that when we're practicing this unconditional love, when we practice the absolute nature of that which is love, it unfolds somewhat in your story. I kept hearing you say 63 days. And I think of numerology. That's a bunch of threes. And threes stand for the Trinity, the mind, idea, and expression. And everything comes out of it moves from mind, idea to expression. Everything that is in expression comes out of that absolute realm, which is mind, which is love. And that love unfolds right here and right now. So our next speaker is going to take us into a lesson, into a story, into the miracles that unfold along the way in that love. And when we show up as grace and compassion. Julia Diazamon? Diaz?
Your last
Did I say your last name right?
Disney.
Disney. I made that a lot harder than it had to be. Come on up.
Light screen, so I guess this is on. Good evening. Interestingly, when we were talking earlier, everyone said, you know, your talk might be a little similar to Sasha's, but I listened to everybody and it's like everybody's, but it's like a lot similar to Gary's.
Come on, girl.
Because I've had a practice for a number of years and my take on some of it's going to be a little bit different than some of what you heard and similar to others is I make a practice of making love to strangers in public places every day, every chance I get, and it's God approved. Sometimes, you know, I became aware a long time ago that we're supposed to be the love. We're supposed to share the love. We're supposed to love our neighbor. And sometimes it's easier to love our neighbor or a perfect stranger, to be honest, than it is to love ourselves. We can give that person grace for things that we would never give ourselves grace for. And we draw so many false boxes around ourselves and around other people. And I have found the boxes we draw around ourselves are perhaps bigger blocks to love than the boxes we put other people in. So if I'm walking down the street, the first time I became really aware of this was a summer day, maybe 30 years ago. I used to work down by Crown Center and I used to walk around Washington Park at my lunchtime. And it was a beautiful spring day. And you know, the sun was shining and there was a light breeze and there were birds and the trees had just turned green. And I walked by an older woman on the sidewalk and we just smiled at each other and it was like a little love explosion. And then just walking around the park, a few other people like that, and I became aware of the amount of love that was being created just in these many connections, and how important it is for people to just feel like someone sees them and smiles at them and knows that they exist. Because I'm here to tell you the opposite of love is not hate. Because hate involves quite a bit of passion, attention, and energy. It's when you don't care. It's when you are not seen, you are not heard, you feel fully invalidated, or you do that to somebody else when they literally don't even register a bleep on your radar. That is the worst feeling in the world, to feel like you don't matter to anybody at any time. So I make a conscious effort to connect to people. Now, my family history is not exactly the same as Gary's, but the dynamics are similar. My people did not give and show well. I spent a lot of my childhood being told, and young adulthood and middle adulthood, being told why no one was gonna like me, why it wasn't good enough, why nobody was gonna wanna be my friend or choose me to love. And that makes it really hard. So I have to make an intentional effort to make connections. But I have found that I can give other people grace before I can give it to myself. And I can give it to my friends before I can give it to my family. But over years of this, I've seen some miracles. Because one of my parts of my story is, my father was not an easy person to be with in relationship, whether you were the wife, the child, the business partner, anything. He just wasn't. And I was the oldest child, and they moved to Oklahoma after my parents got divorced, and my stepmother would sometimes get stuck with all us kids. And she would be like my best friend during the day. And then at night, when we went to sleep, the other kids would be asleep, and I would hear her and my dad fighting. And she would cuss us up one side down, the other tear us to shreds. The next morning, wake up, she'd be my best friend again. That was really confusing to me as a kid. That came to a head in my early teens one day after years of this. And I had asked her if she wanted me to help her with the laundry, and she said no. So I said, okay, went outside. And an hour later, I'm getting in trouble for not helping with the laundry. I said, wait a minute, I offered to help with the laundry. You told me no, but she was ragging at my dad about it. So then he had to say, oh, well, maybe you have said a few unfair things, which just kind of made me mad. So I mentioned the stuff I'd heard at nights all the year. That was the last time I was in my father's house. I'm here to tell you that's been over 40 years. I've only actually seen my stepmother maybe twice in all those years. And I know that I was just a scapegoat. Especially as I got older, I realized it was not about me. Last summer, out of the blue, she called me. Now, I hadn't been consciously thinking about her or consciously trying to heal that, though I would always ask my dad about her, and I did care about her. She called me out of the blue, and we talked for like an hour and a half. And at one point, she was crying, and she apologized for the way things had happened. And kind of like Ruth's story, I said, it's okay. And I got that friend back. And now we can talk again, just like we used to. And I can be there for her if she needs something. And about a month ago, when my dad had come up and had decided he was going to drive back home, and it was going to be late at night, he's 85 years old, and it's like, what are you thinking, going to 5 hours on the highway? I let her know he's on his way, and she let me know when he pulled in the driveway. And that is a miracle that I got that friend back. Not by trying to work on her directly, but just by giving the love wherever I could. I have noticed that I now have some compassion for my sister. And my sister and I have been those siblings that were always like that. We were not good friends, ever. We're very, very different people. And I find that I now have compassion for her. Sometimes the very hardest person to love is yourself. And most people think you need to start with yourself, but sometimes you just can't. I'm here to tell you, if you give it away enough and see other people as yourself, because we're really all one, and you realize that they've made some of the mistakes you've made, they've had some of the hurts and pains you've had, then that grace starts coming back to you. And then your self-love grows, or at least you're not beating yourself up as badly. Because I've got some friends that'll tell you I'm a master at that. But it's less. And I have made huge leaps in the last year at finally owning part of my story and giving myself the grace I would give someone else. So it's a continued journey. But we give it to each other one person at a time. For all that's going on in the world, there's actually probably more love in this world today than there's ever been in history. Because as bad as pockets of things are, things were worse in the past. There's never been a time when there were this many people consciously trying to raise the level of love, the level of well-being, the level of food security, the level of child safety, the level of respect for men and women both. it's as high as it's ever been. And every day you got out in that world, the way you show up increases, decreases, or leaves it the same. Every connection you have is a chance to increase love in this world. And it can be a grocery store clerk, it can be your neighbor, it can be a family member. I don't have a whole lot more that I want to say tonight because it's getting late anyway, but I want to tell you the person who taught me the most about love, that's a lesson I'll never forget. And kind of like my life goes, she's a stranger. And it was a little girl in a Costco. And it was probably a Christmas season because it was a very busy time. She was in a stroller, but she looked a little bit old to be a stroller. She was looked like 5 or 6. But there she was down there, and she's like knee level with all these coats and kneecaps and hips, and nobody's looking at her, paying any attention to her at all. She's just lost in this sea of, adults that are shopping and ignoring her, and the parents were like talking away. And, we're taught to, don't look at people in public, gotta look away. So, I caught her eye. I was looking at her and I'm thinking about her. And she looked so overjoyed and overwhelmed, and she started to smile, and I immediately felt like, oh my God, I've got to look away. I saw her, and then I saw her heart break when I did. And I caught my breath, but I didn't look back, and I've never really fully forgiven myself for that, because she wanted so badly to be seen, just by somebody, to know that she existed in that moment. I have prayed for her ever since. And I have taken that lesson and that promise to myself to never do that to another person as long as I live, if I can help it. I'm human, it may happen, but not on purpose. If I see someone and they see me, I'm not gonna look away, I'm gonna smile. Because we all need to know that we matter and that someone sees us. Whether it is our parent, our child, or that person walking down the street, or that clerk having a bad day. So I hope if that's one thing that you can take from me tonight, is that you'll go out and no matter how you're feeling, you try and give the person in front of you love. And it doesn't matter how different or how same they are. Oh my gosh, some of my boxes are around economics, and let me tell you, people always think, oh, people look down on poor people, or poor people look down on rich people. I think they get rejected just as often. I know sometimes I do that. Like how can they relate to me? They haven't had the struggle. I don't know what their life is like. That's totally unfair. I'm breaking down my own walls, but it's one person at a time. And if I can't do it for me first, maybe doing it for you will help me with me. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you. Love is a sacred service. It is love in action is sacred service. And you just taught us reminded us and taught us of one of the greatest actions of love is that of forgiveness. And it is forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others. And it shows up in the most beautiful ways with the perfect and the right moment. So I invite all of you to stand up with me, hold your hands out, kind of feel that energy, that heat in it, and declare that I am a radiating center of expansive love. Together, I am a radiating center of expansive love. I am a radiating center of expansive love. I am a radiating center of expansive love. And that is what we will be taking forward with us in every given moment. Couple reminders, we meet once a month, second Wednesdays, but every Wednesday something's happening here, first Wednesdays of the month. We're doing our 12 Power series, so we're reviewing the power the first Wednesday of the month, and every Wednesday we've got something going on that has to do with the power. So feel free to join us. This Sunday, if you're really looking for an opportunity to action and love, right after our service, Julia is leading us in our garden party, and I'm bringing some cucumber sandwiches, so we would love to have you join us and help us create a bounty right here in our garden. So go forward. Thank you for those of you who are online joining us. Thank you for all of you that are here. Blessings to you. Peace be upon you.